A mild and sunny morning greeted the riders at the start of the Ronde van Drenthe, a far cry from its traditional peloton-splitting crosswinds. However, it was unlikely to make the race any easier. This year's edition was 14 kilometres longer than last year, with 4 extra cobble sectors to boot. On top of that, the course offered 3 ascents of the man-made Vamberg climb, and when they build it steep, the gradient reaching 21% in places. Chantal Black returned as defending champion.
You need a strong team behind you, but also a lot of cards to play. I think in our team everyone can win, so we have a lot of options and a lot of cards, so everything can happen.
There was also a late entry for the first rider to wear the UCI Women's World Tour Leaders jersey of 2017.
Yeah, the plan wasn't to come here, but it was to go to Semana Valenciana. But since I got the jersey, my team thought it was a good way of honoring the race to be here. Today I'm riding for Jolien D'Or, my teammate, who has the biggest chance to win the race, and I will be just her domestique.
But the favourite remained Lucinda Brand after a storming performance at Strade Bianche last week.
There's not that much wind, so it really is depending on how the other teams and we yourself gonna race, how tough it's gonna be. So, and if you look back to the past years, it can be a small group, it can be a bunch sprint. So, yeah, we really have to see how it goes and anticipate on that.
The 118 riders began the race in Ogeveen all together, and that is exactly how they remained through the early stages of the race. After the 6th and final sector of cobbles, however, the peloton was pulled apart. By 106 kilometres in, a flurry of pre-race favourites, team leaders and national champions had formed one large, strong group at the front. But on the second ascent of the Vamberg, the casualties were instant. Croatian champ Mia Radetić lost touch with the group at the very sight. It may stand only 40 metres above the lowlands around it, but its punchy incline shook up proceedings. Corinne Rivera sparked into action first, springing past early breakmaker Mika Kruger, while the American jostled for placement on the Vamberg's winding slopes. At the back, the group began to string out. Amy Peters was first over the top, but was caught napping on the descent, Canyon SRAM's Elena Cecchini taking the inside line to launch her own bid. One fast line, and a selection was made, but without conviction enough to hold off from the charge behind. Conviction wasn't lacking for Jessie Allen of Orica Scott, though. The 23-year-old saw an opportunity to go solo and went. The gap was soon big enough to put a moto in between her and the rest, and she hit the Vamberg for the final time in the race, alone. Ellen van Dijk surged up behind, pulling only the very fastest along with her, and then surged past. The Women's World Tour leader, Longo Borghini, was the first to react, but she couldn't make any headway into Van Dijk's advantage. Being out ahead on her own is nothing new to Van Dijk, although the time trial specialist still had more than 30 kilometres between her and the finish line. Behind, a chasing group, where 3-time winner and record holder for the race, Marianne Vos, sat at the back. Such was the power of Van Dijk's effort, Boels Dolmans decided to pull rank. 5 of their riders, among them 2 former winners of the race, an Olympic champion and a world champion, took turns to claw the time back. The pace raised, Lottie Kopecky took a tumble on a corner, leaving the 14 ahead of her to go on for the win. Along the narrow forest paths, the group loomed nearer. Boels put in a determined collective push. It paid off, eventually. No amount of energy gels were able to prolong Van Dijk's effort, and after 15 kilometres out in front, Van Dijk was reeled in and the pace stepped up. Black started the cat and mouse straight away. Brand, Cecchini and Hannah Barnes all swapping roles between chaser and chasee. The attacks continued across the pack. Brand brought back by Peters, Van Dijk brought back by both Barnes sisters, Alice of Drops and Hannah of Canyon SRAM. Cecchini attacked like she did at Strade Bianche, but this time only 3 other riders made it up to her. Brand, who went on the offensive straight away, world champion Amelie Diedrichsen, and Longo Borghini. The four flew towards the finish. Vos headed up the chasers. Bowles were never off their guard. Through the finish line, one 8-kilometre lap remained. Barnes, Vos and Chloe Hoskin, without teammates ahead, took turns, but were dragging an unwilling train behind them. The quartet ahead already had the podium places secured, for 3 of them anyway. Longo Borghini needed to go from a long way out to beat off the all-out sprinters she faced. And that she did, cutting them off at the corner. Brand proved that she had brought her good legs with her, opening up the sprint first. Cecchini, though, was straight on her wheel. But the world champion sprint pedigree won out. Didrikson, who said she was happy to be a domestique in rainbow stripes this year, showing that she is also very happy to win in them.
I just had my sports director in me saying you have to cover everything. Somebody's going to try at some point to do a late attack. And I thought maybe I started my sprint a bit too late, but it's really long from the last corner actually. And yeah, I'm happy that my leg was relatively fresh. This is a really big result for me. Of course, the world was also a really big result, but I'm happy I could kind of back it up.
Emily was faster than me, and it hurts a little bit, but I'm happy because I tried my best, I tried something, so this is the good way for me and my team.
After the last corner, the speed dropped a bit down, and yeah, there I made a mistake to go too early, so that's why I'm still not really satisfied because of making a mistake. Maybe when I didn't, I still was third. Maybe, I don't know. But I would like to make a perfect race, and I made a small mistake, so I have to improve next time.
Longo Borghini's 4th place sees her retain the Women's World Tour leader's jersey, while Didrikson made a return trip to the podium to receive the Women's World Tour youth jersey. Confirmation then of the top 10. Annemiek van Vleuten was the best of the rest, coming in 5th for the 2nd week running. Longo Borghini extends her lead at the top of the Women's World Tour table, while another strong ride by Brand sees her jump up to 2nd place. And in the youth standings, Didrikson takes the jersey while drops rider Alice Barnes moves into 3rd, following her best Women's World Tour finish to date.